Buckle up, America, because the Democrat Party just crossed a line that should chill every patriot to the bone. We're hearing reports that Democrat lawmakers are signaling they will not certify the election if Donald Trump wins. You heard that right. The party that lectures us about democracy is now threatening to ignore your votes if they don't like the outcome. But that is just the tip of the iceberg. We've got leaked emails, backroom deals, and a web of conspiracy that goes all the way to the top. Now, check this out. Are you listening? As Democrats threaten our democratic process, smart investors are securing their future with gold. Our country is facing political turmoil, and the national debt has soared past $35 trillion. Meanwhile, gold's value keeps climbing, surpassing $2,400 an ounce. While politicians play games, smart money is moving into what the Constitution calls real money. We're talking about gold and silver. If you've got funds in a low interest account or a 401k IRA, call Global Gold Investments at the number on the screen, 888-700-4148. Mention Next News for a free 2024 Protect Your Wealth and Retirement Guide. Also, you'll get a complimentary portfolio analysis. Visit IRAGoldproof.com. It's linked down in the description. Remember, when your republic is at stake, gold is your safeguard. Okay, thank you to Global Gold Investments for supporting the program, and thank you for supporting this program. This just in, Democrat lawmakers signal they will not certify the election if Donald Trump wins. Yeah, that's where we're at right now. Democrat lawmakers are signaling they won't certify the election if Donald Trump wins, and some of the names are going to sound very familiar. According to Axios, Representative Jamie Raskin, who has long accused Republicans of being a threat to democracy, will only vote to certify the results if he feels the election was free, fair, and honest. So, is Raskin going to be an election denier? Remember? Anyone who questions the election, they brand you an election denier and smear you. I mean, I had a New York Times reporter come up to me when I said the election was stolen. He got in my face and he's like, well, what proof do you have? How do you know? I'm like, man, everybody knows. You know, it's like they keep pushing their own narrative when it fits their agenda. So Jamie Raskin says he will only vote if he feels the election was free, fair, and honest. Sure. Who gets to make that determination? Well, of course, Raskin and his colleagues. They're saying that Raskin in the House Oversight Committee, he's a ranking member, former January 6th committee member who objected to Trump electors in 2017, told Axios in an interview that if Trump won a free, fair, and honest election, then we would obviously accept it. However, Raskin said he definitely doesn't assume that Trump would use free and fair, honest means to secure victory. How? What, like Donald Trump's going to cheat? Really? Trump is doing whatever he can to try to interfere with the process, whether we're talking about manipulating electoral college counts in Nebraska or manipulating the vote count in Georgia. Like, where's his evidence of this? You know, I got my ear pretty close to the ground when it comes to like all the things that are happening in this election. I've never heard anything like this. Never heard any mention of this anywhere. So again, the way I see it is these are just projected narratives that are being put out like a wrap-up smear. You know, Nancy Pelosi's famous wrap-up smear. They project this stuff to the press, and then the press says, oh, electoral college counts in Nebraska, and then it becomes a headline somewhere else, and then the narrative kind of just continues to grow. So this could just be like one of those seeded moments where a wrap-up smear is being planted so that later on they can come back to it and say, see, look, it was in Politico. It was in Axios, right? Red State goes on to state that it's honestly hilarious how much some of this language mirrors the things Republicans have been lambasted for in the past. Anytime a GOP politician suggests they will only certify the results if the election is fair, they're pile-driven by the press as promoting an insurrection, yet when Democrats do the same thing, the mainstream journalists give them a collective shrug. Yeah. Well, remember when he said this?
And the greatest, what can be put into the Constitution can slip.
This is Jamie Raskin. This is a flashback moment.
What can be put into the Constitution can slip away from you very quickly. And the greatest example going on right now before our very eyes is Section 3 of the 14th Amendment, which they're just disappearing with a magic wand. as if it doesn't exist, even though it could not be clearer what it's stating. And so, they want to kick it to Congress. So it's going to be up to us on January 6, 2025, to tell the rampaging Trump mobs that he's disqualified. And then we need bodyguards for everybody in Civil War conditions, all because the 9 justices, not all of them, but these justices who have not many cases to look at every year, not that much work to do, a huge staff, great protection, simply do not want to do their job and interpret what the great 14th Amendment means. And I'm glad that Sherilyn's creating her new.
Congress will stop Trump on January 6th and create civil war conditions, says Jamie Raskin. Yeah, this is the language that they are presenting. But what is the biggest threat to democracy?
You see, that's the real threat to democracy, stupid people. That's the threat. Our biggest threat to democracy is stupid
people. Donald Trump nailing it with stating our biggest threat to democracy is stupid people. John Rich, you know him, the famous country superstar. He says the more it looks like Donald J. Trump will win, the higher the chances of something crippling hits this country. Well, that was a day ago. I mean, how many more crippling things can this country endure? We had Hurricane Milton that just devastated Florida. We had Hurricane Helene that people are still picking up the pieces. It's going to be a long time for recovery. So John Rich is saying there's going to be more. He says, the more it looks like Donald J. Trump will win, the higher the chances or something crippling will hit this country. Hope you guys are prepared for whatever happens next. There ain't a bad guy in the world who wants him to win, and they'll do anything to keep him out. Hang on to your hats. Drew Hernandez also chiming in, saying this is how bad things are for Kamala Harris. Her surrogate accounts are now claiming Trump agreed to another debate. Did you hear about this? With Kamala? And is now backing out. Now, see, Drew brings up that Trump never agreed to another debate with Kamala Harris. He suggested that he would do a debate with Kamala on Fox. This was before the last debate. And Kamala backed out of the Fox debate. She wouldn't do it. And now Kamala's wins. One of the surrogate accounts says, breaking, CNN will host a town hall with Kamala Harris because Donald Trump chickened out of the previously agreed to second debate. More evidence that Trump is a coward. I beg to differ. He's not a coward. Okay? After that sniper's bullet hit him in the ear, what did he do? He stood up in front of everybody with blood on his face, pumped his fist, and said, fight, fight, fight. As the bullets were flying. This man's not a coward. He's not afraid to debate Kamala Harris on Fox News. In fact, he asked for it. It's Kamala Harris who's the coward. These people are spitting lies, and these people are the ones spitting disinformation and misinformation. Speaking of Kamala Harris, she was on Univision at a Latino town hall. This is solid gold. You know how Kamala Harris, she's a chameleon. She will, I don't know what it is with these politicians. They change their style of speaking. I mean, we've seen it with Hillary Clinton. We've seen it with so many. Donald Trump doesn't change the way he speaks. But here we have, listen how differently Kamala says the word COVID at the Univision Latino town hall versus a standard setting. Okay, let's watch this first clip. So you see how she's pronouncing that word? COVID. She's trying to sound like she's Latino. COVID. You see how she's saying? I mean, it's disgusting pandering. But let's take a look at the standard setting now.
From virtually every person who has recently died from COVID-19 was unvaccinated. The loss, the tragedy of that loss. Literally every person who has died from COVID-19 that we have recently been seeing was unvaccinated. Virtually.
Oh, man. She's so fake. She is so fake. Brian, I don't know if you're trying to talk to me in my ear, but, I can't hear you when I got videos playing. So we've got, or maybe that was just something else I heard. Okay, everything wrong with our country started with this guy, Barack Obama. Speaking of word salads, we've got Barack Obama actually accusing Donald Trump of word salad speeches.
Who got the tweets in all caps? The ranting and the raving about crazy conspiracy theories. You got the 2-hour speeches, word salad, just, it's like Fidel Castro. Just on and on. Constant attempts to sell you stuff. Who?
Oh, wow. Yeah. If there's anyone that knows anything about word salads, it would be Kamala Harris. Tim Walz. Actually, I'm surprised that Tim Walz is really getting grilled. But he is, I don't know why. I posted this on X as well. I said, who authorized, like the media is always singing from the same song sheet. You've seen those videos where there's like 25 different news networks and it pans out and you see them all speaking the exact same thing. Well, we're seeing something similar happen, but at the highest level of the national media, where it feels like somebody gave the green light to go after Tim Walz and his repetitive lying, because we saw it on CBS. Now we're seeing it on ABC. We saw it on Fox. Let's listen to this.
Folks here, and you call yourself a knucklehead. Call yourself a knucklehead because you've made some statements that just aren't true. And the comment about weapons of war that I carried in war, which you didn't. You said that you were in Hong Kong during the Tiananmen Square massacre when you weren't. You kind of chalked it all up to bad grammar or getting the dates wrong. Yeah. But your opponents say you lied to make yourself look better. Do they have a point?
Well, look, 35 years ago, got the opportunity to be in Hong Kong, be in China, learned a lot about it, served 24 years in the National Guard, passionately, in an instance, talking about gun violence in schools, on an instance there. Proud of the service that I've done. Proud to be a teacher in that classroom. Proud to have been very public all these years and owning it when I, said, look, I was there in August of '89. And I think what you see here, you saw it in Minnesota. I've been elected 8 times here. These things have been very public for folks here. They see the results of things that we pass. We see a state that's a top 5 state for business. We see 3rd best state, top 3 state for raising a child. And we've got the best health care. And I think the policies, whether it be dealing with China and understanding China's human rights record, what you can be certain there is that Kamala Harris and I aren't going to, pick dictators on speed dial. See, Xi Jinping is doing a good job during COVID, as Donald Trump said. And I think those lessons learned over a lifetime of being very public, whether it's in the classroom or being elected.
Well,
I'm going to interrupt this for a second because he said having dictators on speed dial. We should have all the dictators on speed dial, because if they try to pull anything, you need to call them and say, you better stop. And that's what Donald Trump would do. He would say, you stop right now, or we're going to send a Moab to your house. Okay?
But it's one of the things with trust. So there are going to be some people who say, we can't trust him to even tell the truth about himself.
Yeah.
What do you say to them?
Well, I said they know who I am. I know who I am. I know the work that I've done. I know that things get spun in a political environment. But I think what they see is, if they want to compare that talking about immigration policy or seeing the things that Donald Trump would say, I think there's a big difference than missing a date when you're there and, again, spinning something for a political reason. I'm very clear of who I've been. I'm very proud of 24 years of doing that work, and I think going to Congress and working for veterans, they want to see it and make the difference, look a little different. I think people in Minnesota, my students, the folks I've worked with, members of Congress, they know who I am, and they know the policies we put in.
Yeah, they know. Yeah, we saw Minneapolis burn under your leadership. But it's interesting to see these outlets suddenly really pressing him on all of his knucklehead statements. And I'm curious as to who gave the authorization for that. How did that come about? I mean, none of this stuff happens without somebody saying, "Okay, you can ask these questions." I've got some other stuff here, but since we're talking about Tim Walz at the moment, we've also got this cringe ad that was just released. I want to bring up something to your attention, and it wasn't actually in the lineup here, but I just posted about it on X. This just apparently is just breaking now. Black insurrectionist posted this message to Tim Walz. He was replying to Tim Walz. And Tim Walz initially said, all Donald Trump and JD Vance know about manufacturing is how to manufacture BS. Now, I don't know if this is true, so take this with a grain of salt. But this person says, I'm going to read this. Okay, Tim, I guess now would be a good time to drop my October surprise. You remember him, right? The real reason you walked away from teaching. The kid who spent the night at your home. The one who went to the gay bar you went to the gay bar with. The reason the school board had a meeting about you? What do you think, Tim? Should I drop that now or should I wait another week or so? You know, the student you were having relations with. The male student you were having relations with. They didn't call you Touchdown Timmy because you were the football coach. Oh, wait, you lied about that also. You were the assistant coach. What do you think, Tim? You remember the Indigo Girls concert, right? The gay bar, spending the night, and of course, the school board meeting? Think this is the time, Tim? Touchdown Timmy? You were touchy, all right. So, if this actually comes out, it's over. If this is true, Touchdown Timmy is done. So I'm gonna keep track of this. I've actually got it bookmarked, and we're gonna have to see if this really does pan out, or if this is just some, internet, someone trolling on someone trolling. We'll have to wait and see. So, getting back to the other stuff here, I just want to bring that to your attention because it was kind of a last minute ad I needed to bring to your attention. So this ad has just come out. This new ad is real cringy. Rob Schneider says, "I'm man enough to know that a straight man didn't write this political ad. Vote Trump, Vance, Kennedy, Gabbard 2024. Have you seen this ad? Brian, go vertical, please.
Zive, you have to start.
I'm a man.
I'm a man.
I'm a man, man.
And I'm man enough.
I'm man enough to enjoy a barrel-proof bourbon.
Neat.
Man enough to cook my steak rare.
Man enough to deadlift 500 and braid the out of my daughter's hair.
You think I'm afraid to rebuild a carburetor? I eat carburetors for breakfast.
I ain't afraid of bears.
That's what bear hugs are for.
I'll tell you another thing I sure as shit am not afraid of. Women.
I'm not afraid of women.
I'm not afraid of women.
They want to control their bodies? I say go for it.
They want to use IVF to start a family? I'm not afraid of families.
They want to be childless cat ladies?
Have all the cats you want.
Woman wants to be president?
Well, I hope she has the guts to look me right in the eye and accept my full-throated endorsement.
Because I'm man enough to support women.
Man enough to know what kind of donuts I like.
Man enough to admit I'm lost, even when I refuse to ask for directions.
Man enough to not ban young women from reading Little Women.
Or one of those pants books that the sisters like.
I'm man enough to raw dog a flight. It sucked. Not worth it.
I'm man enough to be emotional in front of my wife.
In front of my kids.
In front of my horse.
I'm man enough to tell you that I cry at Love Actually.
Good Will Hunting.
West Side Story.
That and Predator.
And I'm sick of so-called men domineering, belittling, and controlling women just so they can feel more powerful.
That's not how my mama raised me.
I love women.
I love women who support their families.
Women who decide not to have families.
Women who take charge.
And I'm man enough to help them win.
They are really, really worried. They're losing the male vote. And of course, they blame, the patriarchy and heteronormativism. So they're putting out these cringy ads. I know there's a little tongue-in-cheek stuff going on there, but it's still cringe. Now, Brian, you can go back to horizontal. Let's go back to Tim Walz. Or actually, no, we got a voter. This is wild. A Better Life says she earned the nomination. Really? How exactly? A voter asked Kamala about how she got nominated without earning a single vote and pushing Biden aside so close to the election. The whole deep state.
Liz Cheney, the former congresswoman, and her father, the former vice president, Dick Cheney.
Those are not people to brag about.
Gonzalez, most recently.
Okay, I've had enough of her rambling on about all of her deep state endorsements. But Obama's getting nervous, too.
Local Republicans said it was not true. And now the people of Florida are dealing with another devastating storm. And I want you to watch what happens over the next few days, just like the last time. You're going to have leaders who try to help, and then you have a guy who will just lie about it to score political points, and this has consequences.
No, to correct you, Barack, Donald Trump's not lying about it. He's actually listening to the people, and he's responding, and he's helping. But see, you guys painted as lies and true misinformation. Let's continue with Barack here.
Because people are afraid, and they've lost everything, and now they're trying to figure out, how do I apply for help? And some of them may be discouraged from getting the help they need. The idea of intentionally trying to deceive people in their most desperate and vulnerable moments.
That's what Democrats do best, though. All these establishment hacks. Tim Walz also received money from the Chinese Communist Party to indoctrinate American students on their behalf, confirms he supports the ending of the Electoral College, and thus the United States as a constitutional republic. Listen.
Understands their vote. Back to something you said on Tuesday. You said, I think all of us know the Electoral College needs to go. But the campaign came out later that night, and they said that's not their stance.
Yeah. Well, it's not the campaign's position. And the point I'm trying to make is that there's folks that feel every vote must count in every state. And I think...
Okay. The reason there's a disconnect here is because they keep changing their position, right? Donald Trump wins. We need to abolish the Electoral College. That's the language. So that they can't get their stories straight. It's because they are deceitful people. And when he says, well, that's not the position of the campaign, well, it's because the campaign has just changed the position that I'm sure we could find a dozen clips where Kamala Harris has said, we need to abolish the Electoral College. And a dozen clips where he has said it. So he comes out and makes the statement, and then the campaign has to go, oh, no, we don't that's not our position right now, right? It's only our position if Donald Trump wins, right?
Some of folks feel that's not the case. Our campaign does that. And the point I'm saying is I'm in 5 states in 2 days. We're out there making the case that the campaign's position is clear, that that's not their position. Their position and my position is to make sure that everybody understands their vote, no matter what state they're in, matters.
So that's something that you and Vice President Harris disagree on?
I have spoken about it in the past, that she's been very clear on this, and the campaign, and my position is the campaign's position.
And let's talk about the economy. That is the top issue for voters out there. 74% of voters said the past year they've had to cut back on groceries because of the rising costs, of course. And a lot of those voters, they're concerned that they cast their vote for Kamala Harris, but she's responsible for that. Yeah. So how do you reach those voters? What do you say to those voters who may blame her for the economy right now?
Yeah, folks in the middle. Well, we talk to them about what are the policies that are going to make a difference. And we see some of the data, but data doesn't impact people in their daily lives. Going to the grocery store and you see false information, whether it's bird flu impacting eggs, but the reality from...
What? You go to the grocery store, see false information? What is he even saying? I go to the grocery store and I see the prices going up. Okay, what are you telling me that the sticker underneath the Cheerios is false information? How much the cost is? Okay, there's 15 seconds left on this guy.
People is, if those costs are up, they want to know what you're going to do about it. I think that's why she's focusing on making sure whether it's home ownership more affordable, tax cuts for the middle class, and let's just be candid about this price gouging piece of this.
And something that former President Trump said.
Yeah, there's no price gouging going on. That's just their buzzword to try to blame all the high prices. Oh, they're price gouging everybody. No, that's not happening. Yeah. Going to the grocery store, you see false information. Oh, look at this. Yeah, we've got this. This is Julia Roberts. She's out there stumping. Yeah, she looks like every other crazed liberal. Look at those eyes. Let's see what she had to say.
I just hope that all the women here tonight all the men that aren't here tonight, and all you brave men that are here tonight. Talk to all the other men that aren't here tonight. And let's just get it going. Enough with the fighting. Let's get to the uniting. Let's get to the joy. Let's get to the repair. Let's get to prices dropping, rents dropping. Let's get to the good stuff so we can start living our lives to the fullest potential that we have.
Okay, Julia. Yeah, you're really gonna move the needle on the vote. I mean, the only thing I can remember you ever, like, your claim to fame is playing a prostitute in Pretty Woman next to the guy with the gerbil problem. So there you have it. The mask is off of the Democrat Party. In their panic to stop Trump, they're willing to burn down the very foundations of our republic, but we're just scratching the surface. Yeah, we've got more on their desperate tactics, including talks of invoking the 14th Amendment, leaked emails showing their true intentions. But here's what I want to know from you. Is this the death of our republic as we know it? Or will the American people stand up and say enough is enough? Sound off below.